This video has been a long time coming, and although I'm a bit late to the Flair 58 party, the advantage to that is that I'll be speaking from months and months of user experience, and I'll be showing off the latest and greatest version with the new Valve Plunger workflow. So what a better way to start off the year than with a full review of the Flair 58. Now, before we get going, I want to make it very clear that I spent all of my own money on this machine. This video is not sponsored, and all the opinions are my own. However, just because I paid for my Flair 58 doesn't mean that you have to. For the first 4 days that this video is live, there'll be a link down in the description below that I think you're going to want to check out. If you're watching this video after that contest has closed, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Okay, that is more than enough intro. Let's dive into this, starting off as we always do with the build quality and design. For those familiar with previous Flair products, the build of the 58 will come as no surprise, as it follows closely in the footsteps of its predecessors. Once assembled, the system is extremely sturdy, providing a solid base for the forces associated with full pressure brewing. The frame is made of die-cast aluminum, while the components themselves are made of stainless steel and allow for a completely plastic-free water path. The first thing that will likely strike new users and repeat Flair buyers alike is the size of this system. It is a modest 7.5 inches wide, 14 inches deep, and 11.5 inches tall. Unless, that is, you have the arm in the fully raised position, which extends the height to a whopping 24.25 inches. Now personally, this is one of the things that I was most excited for. The added length of the lever makes reaching brewing pressure much less of a strain, but it is also something you're going to need to consider when deciding where to place this in your home. The handle itself has also been improved, changing from a rubber cover on the arm itself to a nicely rubberized and wooden horizontal grip. The portafilter provided with the 58 is, you guessed it, a full-sized 58mm portafilter, and they've opted to go for a bottomless version with a wooden handle that matches the wood on the lever grip. However, you can swap this out for an aftermarket one if you like, and could even go spouted if you really wanted to. Overall, I love the appearance of this system. It's sleek, well finished, and like other Flair models is essentially a piece of art that sits on your kitchen counter when not in use. There's currently only one color option, matte black, but as you might be able to see, I've got no major complaints about that. Moving on to the workflow and user experience, I want to preface my thoughts by looking back at my review of the Flair Pro 2, because I think that the evolution from that system to this one plays a large role in my overall opinion of the 58. The Flair Pro 2 was my favorite manual espresso system I had tried at the time. However, at the end of the video I made a passing remark that maybe should have been a bigger part of the overall review. Each morning, I'm still making my espresso on the Oracle or the Apartamento. But on the weekends, or when I have guests over, it's been all about the Flair recently. The sheer number of parts, cleaning, and the required preheating workflow made it a machine that I reserved for special occasions, special coffee, or for when I just had lots of time on my hands. It is a very involved process. The Flair 58 completely eliminates those drawbacks, and compared to a more traditional espresso machine, there is almost no difference in the overall workflow. And that is huge. Step 1, turn the machine on and wait for it to heat up. Step 2, grind your coffee and prep your puck. Step 3, add the water, although admittedly you only have to do this every once in a while on a pump machine. Step 4, pull your shot. Step 5, knock out the puck, and repeat as necessary. You could easily use this in place of whatever espresso machine is currently sitting on your countertop, and that is really impressive. This is largely due to the fact that the Flair 58 can electrically heat its group head, and it does it to one of 3 selectable temperatures: 85, 90, and 95 degrees Celsius. The process takes around 4.5 minutes and is powered by one of the largest power bricks I have ever seen on a coffee product. Combine that brick with the overall length of the wire, and this could become troublesome to store nicely on your countertop. But that cable is one of only 2 complaints that I have about this system as it currently stands, the other being the drip tray, or lack thereof. The rubber dish sits within the cutout of the base and works more than fine for catching stray drips. However, it is not at all conducive to using anything but the smallest of scales. I have seen countless forum posts asking for scale recommendations for the Flair 58, But there really just aren't many good options out there in between our extreme budget pick and the hugely expensive Akaya lineup. I think that someone could easily design and 3D print a flat drip tray that fits within this cutout and sell it with some pretty good success. However, other than those two nitpicks, I have loved and still do love using the Flair 58. It is that easy to use, it is that fun to use, and most importantly, it makes that good of a shot of espresso. At the time that this landed in the studio, the other machines that were most recently on the brew bar were the Rancilio Silvia, the Rocket Apartamento, and the Gaggia Classic Pro. Compared to these pump-driven, straight pressure machines, the Flair 58 was quite different in terms of the espresso it produced. The first immediate observation that I made was that the grind needed to be substantially finer than where I had it set for those other machines. I'm still not exactly sure why this is, but based on some experiments I did with pre-infusion on the Decent, I think it has something to do with how much water is slowly introduced to the puck as you fill up the brew chamber. Regardless of the reason, what this means is that the Flair 58 is going to be slightly more demanding on whatever grinder you choose to pair with it. Flair even acknowledges this and has chosen to also offer a lower flow filter basket option so that you can grind slightly coarser. Is this a negative? No, not at all. People are often drawn to machines like the Slayer and Dual Boiler because they allow for these long, drawn-out pre-infusions that allow you to grind finer and ultimately increase your extraction. Which brings us to one of the largest selling points of this system, the flexibility and shot quality. With the Flair, you are completely and easily in control over the flow characteristics of your shots. No, you don't have the same live data as something like the Decent, but by looking at the pressure gauge and connecting a Bluetooth scale to the Smart Espresso Profiler app, you can get pretty darn close. And when I say easily in control, that is another one of the big selling points. With the Flair Pro 2, you technically have the same level of control. However, the amount of force you need to apply makes it tough to be precise with your intentions. On the 58, as Andrew will happily show you if you ever tune into a Flair Instagram Live, you could pull a shot with your forehead if you really wanted to. The added mechanical advantage of this very long arm is really, really nice. The results of this control are shots that are balanced, sweet, consistent, and to put it bluntly, better than anything I can pull from the Gaggia, Rocket, or any of my other pump-driven machines. If I was someone who only drank espressos or Americanos, and I didn't have this YouTube channel that allowed me to have all these machines sitting around, this would quite likely be my choice sitting on my kitchen counter right now. And I've been saying that in the comments and when you guys message me on Instagram, and I am standing by it in this review. For the money, I simply cannot think of anything that comes even close to the shot quality I can get from this. So with that being said, let's talk about the most recent update they made to this platform, which is the new valve plunger. On the original 58 and on the other Flair models, you need to remove the pressure sensor to fill the chamber with water, and then reinstall it before pulling your shot. Not the end of the world, but admittedly, it's a little finicky. Now, you can leave the plunger in its natural position after pulling a shot, fill the reservoir, and then raise the lever. This will open the valve, letting water through, and once at the top, the valve will seal back up as soon as pressure is applied. Pretty neat. If you already own an older version of the 58 and you are intrigued by this workflow, they do sell those updated plungers as an aftermarket part. So, is this the perfect system? Well, maybe not for everybody. For example, you can't just walk up to it, push a button and pull a shot. You need to quite literally pull the shots yourself, which some will see as a negative. It is very tall with the arm up. The cable and power brick are huge, and finding a scale to fit within the cutout of the base can be tricky. However, I think these are small prices to pay for what this machine is ultimately capable of. When the Flair 58 first arrived, it handily beat out all of my current pump-driven machines, and within days I was running to tell anyone who would listen about just how good it was. The ability to profile your shots and adapt to sudden changes in puck integrity is an aspect of espresso that cannot be ignored. And the Flair 58 allows you to do this with very little change to your existing workflow and without shelling out thousands and thousands of dollars. If you are currently shopping for an espresso-focused system in this price range, you should absolutely be checking out the Flair 58. because as it stands, it is a bit of a unicorn. As always, if you want to check this product out, I will have it linked down in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave us a like, and even consider subscribing if you want to see some more like it in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.